In this video, we're going to start collecting data from websites. It used to be that the primary way to do that was to go to a website, parse through the HTML data, and pull out specific items using textual tools, much like we've done using regular expressions. Some new tools have been developed, websites have evolved, and so things have changed. One of the common ways to get data is through what is called an API, or Application Programming Interface, which is just a way that usually companies have posted data that you can pull down from their servers more directly and not bog down their websites. And so this is probably the most common way to get data now over the internet. We will also go into pulling some data directly from web pages, but as the introduction, I want to get you familiar with APIs and sort of the most common way to get data. So here I'm going to start with a few libraries that we're going to use next time, but I want to make you aware of these. These are some of the more common packages used to pull data from websites. And then this JSON lite is to pull data that's in a JSON format, which we'll see below. Tidyverse is all of the tidyr stuff that we've done before, and data table is similar to dplyr, using manipulating data frames. So I have some resources here. A lot of how you will get data from an API depends a lot on what that API does and how it's formatted. So I wanted to give you some resources you could go look at for pulling data directly from websites or from APIs, and individual tools. So for example, this NASDAQ one, you can get some of the sites that provide this data will provide a package in R or in Python or something else, or will tell you how to pull from their API. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not, and so I just wanted to give you a taste of that. This one, to pull from NASDAQ, there's a package called Quandl. Quandl also pulls from other data as well. A lot of that data you have to pay for, so I've listed this down here. But if you bought the access to it, then you can pull a whole bunch of data. Some of it's really expensive to access, some of it's not. I just wanted to get you to have a sense of that. So if you got access to Quandl through NASDAQ and paid theirs, you could pull extra data. Here we're going to pull some of the free data. So this library, this package is just there because that's a package they created for this API. So for example here, it's in this FRED, so this is the Federal Reserve data, and it pulls out the GDP, so we can pull that one. This is free access data. And notice it gives you GDP by period. Let's sort it here so you can see. So it's quarterly here. Then we could pull another one, so it's the exact same way. I just want you to see different possibilities of what you can pull. This NROUST is the natural rate of unemployment. So you could go look there, see that. So 4% is sort of the average, but it goes up and down. So another free data source you could go look at. So notice that's super easy when you have the data that you want and you have to go learn about it on the website, and you have a package that pulls it simply. Well, let's give you one that is not quite so simple. So here is the EDGAR. So SEC EDGAR provides data in JSON format. This is the XBRL filings that companies now do and have done over the past few years. And it's not all standardized, so it doesn't always look the same. But let me give you an idea of this. So here, I created this function. Now you don't have to understand and do all of this function here. Oh, it goes all the way down to here. But when you pull this, it's not in a pretty format that you might be able to use easily in data frames that we've been working with. Other people provide this data that you can pull directly from other data sources rather than from the SEC directly, but they standardize it and try and get it into a format that is easily usable. But I wanted you to just get a sense of this. So in order to get it usable, you have to pull out, go get the data. So this is something we will do next time. Go to this site where they keep it, pull the data, get it out of JSON format into a data frame, and then pull individual items and sort of clean it up, and then do some more cleanup to get it in a format that you can actually use. So it's not a simple setup, and sometimes you just are forced to use the data in the way that the data provider gives it. So again, not that you need to know how to do this, it's just to show you that sometimes a lot of work goes into taking the data in the raw format and getting it in a setup that you can use. So with this function, I created the input to that function is put in the CIK, and then the SEC wants you to put in who you are. So this user here is telling the SEC who's using this. So I put my information here. Please put in your own information so it doesn't say, man, suddenly Jeremiah is pulling from all these different computers. So let me show you, if we go to a simple way to look up the CIK is just say like Apple CIK code, and usually you can just find it here. You can find it on the SEC website as well. So I pulled out a few of these: Walmart CIK, Apple CIK, Amazon CIK. Once you have this, you have to have some of these packages installed. Once you have those packages installed and you run this function, takes a minute for it to go collect it, and then also to run through cleaning it up. So this isn't the most efficient function, but anyway, it still works. So if we go over here to the Walmart data, what does this give us? Well, now notice it's given every year, 2009 to 2022. It's got a bunch of data. It's got different accounts. So one of the disadvantages, notice these are all in alphabetical order, so they're not by statement. So it doesn't have, for example, the income statement and then the balance sheet. It just has individual items from the income statement and the balance sheet. But you can look through here and see what the company provides. And a couple things about the XBRL data. So notice this depreciation, depletion, and amortization. 2009 it's not there, 2010 it's not there, 2011 it's not there. Then from 2012 to 2017 it is there. Well, there's another one that shows up here, the net version, that starts showing up later, 2019, 2020. And this other one, depreciation, depletion, amortization, and non-production, shows up before there. So these XBRL tags that the companies use are not standardized for the own company across years, nor are they standardized across companies. So it's just giving you whatever tag they put here. So if you wanted to get this into a usable income statement, balance sheet, something like that, you'd have to go through and figure out what they're reporting here. And the tags they use are not always the same across years. So, and then some other things just don't show up because maybe they didn't have them. So for example, this financing lease, the interest expense from the financing lease, notice that doesn't start until 2019 and 2020. So some of the things don't show up because they just didn't have them. So the main point of this is to give you a way that you can quickly pull information from the SEC. If you had this in a format that you were going to use it all the time, then you would probably create some automated version to pull it in the way that you want to use it each time. And then I encourage you, on the homework, I'm going to have you go look up other APIs, and so you can just search those and see, are there others that you might want to use or that you might get access to? And you can mess around with some of the SEC pulling stuff or Quandl or some other APIs as well. Again, this will depend on what type of data you're pulling, what type of thing you're doing, what project you have. So a lot of people will work on a certain project and they'll learn that API really well, and then that'll be the thing that they use quite a bit. So it's not something you're probably getting a new API every day. It's something you work up and use for a while. So quick introduction to APIs, then we'll turn into doing the more complicated pulling directly from websites.